Man, it really is a tough time for Zoomers out there nowadays. I myself am somewhat of a spirit walker. I was born in 95, so I'm in my late 20s, so I'm somewhere in between Gen Z and millennial myself. And all of my siblings are younger than me, so they're all Zoomers. So I'm kind of on the front line here. I kind of have a few more years of experience, but I'm not so old like the boomers might be, that I'm totally out of touch with how Zoomers are doing. I'm right there. I'm on the front line of how the state of affairs is for Zoomers. And this video in particular is going to be for young men. Now, what are the problems that Zoomer young men have right now? It's the problems that have been problems for young men since the beginning of time: getting laid and making money. And so these are the things that young men are really focused on accomplishing and are things that they really desire. And so, in the pursuit of these two things, I've kind of noticed two archetypes of Zoomers cropping up on the internet. You have the Desperate Dannies and you have the Hopeless Henrys. Now, the way Desperate Danny kind of goes about his daily routine is he wakes up, he grabs his phone, he might watch some motivational videos, and what he does in his free time is he watches this new crop of young guys who are selling you the dream of becoming rich like them. I'm talking about Hamza. I'm talking about Iman Ghazi. I'm talking about Sebastian Gabubu. And what these kids are doing is they're selling courses to young men on how to earn money and how to become rich. And since young guys want to be rich, these courses actually make a ton of money. And you've got Andrew Tate. That's another example with his Hustlers University. Now, the thing about these programs is they do have information in them typically that do benefit some people, and some people actually do make money with some of these courses. I myself, in my earlier 20s, have made a decent amount of money doing SMMA. I was super early, and I was doing it before it was cool. I was doing it before there were any courses of it. And so I was able to capitalize on that trend. Now, here's the thing. The problem with these courses and the problem with the content creators creating these courses is that for their business to exist, they need customers. Makes sense, logical enough. And for there to be customers, there need to be people in pain of not making enough money, because it is that pain that the customer has that compels them to go ahead and purchase this course. And so, if you are in need of customers who are in pain to purchase your course, you need people who are not making enough money. That's why they're buying the course. And so, for their business to even exist, there needs to be people who are not succeeding with copywriting, with dropshipping, with whatever these courses are trying to sell you. And if everyone was successful, then Hamza, Andrew Tate, these people wouldn't have their business. It's dependent inherently for there to be people who aren't making money to buy the courses for that sort of business model to be profitable. Now, does that mean that it's a scam? No. There are a few who will make money with the course, maybe in the short term, maybe in the long run. And so this kind of perpetuates the problem, because then you're seeing all these testimonials. But in truth, most people, just like any other thing in the economy, are not going to make it in that field. Because in any field, since competition is so fierce, only the top 1 to 5% of any field is really going to be successful in that field. It doesn't matter what it is. The acceptance rate to be a med student hovers around 1%. To be a PhD, that's a very small sliver of people who go into academia. So it doesn't matter the field. It's always the top earners who are paid disproportionately, and the bottom 95 to 99% gets paid way less. That's just how it is across any industry, not just marketing, not just copywriting, programming, same thing. How many people who program dream of working at one of the FANG companies, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and how many people actually make it? And what's even more fierce and brutal about the process for these FANG companies is they hire internationally as well. So not only are you competing with everyone in your country, you're competing with everyone internationally for these few select job positions. And you have these companies like Meta recently coming out and laying off a lot of people. So it's fierce. Life is competition no matter what industry you're in. So you're best off trying to position yourself to be in an industry where you can perform your best. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And that's not something that a lot of these gurus want to tell you. Hamza's not telling you that. Andrew Tate's not telling you that. They're selling a dream. And if you think you're someone who can do that and succeed at that, don't let me stop you. I am not here to say it's a scam. I'm here to saying that most people aren't going to make it just by default. That's the way it's always been in economics. And not only that, but they need people to not succeed for their business to be profitable. And that's who Desperate Danny is. Desperate Danny is desperate, and he is buying these courses and he is spending the little money he has, whether this course is $500, $1,000, whatever outrageous prices that they're charging for Desperate Danny. And Desperate Danny, unfortunately, is not going to make it in that field. He will lose his money, but he will earn a lesson. Now, on the other extreme, you have Hopeless Henry. And Hopeless Henry is an absolute doomer. One YouTuber comes to mind for me. His name, I'm going to link him in the description. It's DBDR. That's the name of his channel. And this kid is constantly posting videos about how he's ugly. He's a sub 5. How he's never gotten laid. How he went to college and now he's working a minimum wage job. And in all of his videos, he's kind of letting it out, getting it off his chest. He's ranting. He's an absolute doomer. And what's so fascinating about this YouTuber is he gets more views than the vast majority of people trying to be successful on YouTube. He's doing great. And I hope he's monetized because he could be making a good amount of money from that. And he's young. This kid's in his early 20s. So he's clearly very successful at this thing if he spent some of his energy and some of his time in kind of nurturing his ability to do public speaking and nurturing his ability to make these sorts of videos. He can be extremely successful. But instead, what he does is he goes out and he tries to find minimum wage jobs. So the problem with Hopeless Henrys is they're such doomers that they miss opportunities that arise from them. And the problem with Desperate Danny is he's susceptible to being scammed. These are the two extremes I see. Because in marketing, one of the lessons you learn, one of the first lessons, is the things that compel people are hope and fear. Hope and fear. But in reality, there is a middle way. There's a way to go about this. Now, look, I'm allergic to giving advice because I don't know you. I don't know your life. I don't know your circumstances. And it's best to get advice. If you're going to get advice, get it from people who know your circumstances. So all I can really do here is give, some general pieces, some tidbits of generalities here. In general, I don't think it's a good idea to resign and be an absolute doomer because you miss all the opportunities you could have. Plus, you don't work on yourself. If this YouTuber, DBDR, went ahead and he, worked on himself a little bit, let's say like he goes to the gym, it doesn't help him get laid, but he'll feel better. He'll feel better in his body. He'll feel better because he's accomplishing something. And men generally get a lot of joy from their accomplishments more than any other thing. That's what makes us happy. That's why video games are so successful. That's why games like League of Legends are so popular, because winning feels good. So get some wins, even if they're small wins, even if it's going to the gym, regulate your body. And, this will help you do better. There's no reason to resign. Also, don't be so hopeful. Don't be so hopeful that you become naive and you delude yourself. Like, avoid extremes. Avoid any extreme ideology. That's something that Charlie Munger says, who is Warren Buffett's business partner. And he says this is something that creates catastrophe. Giving into extreme ideologies. And social media kind of makes it easy to fall into these extreme ideologies. So I kind of want to end off by saying this. Before the boomers were born, there was the silent generation. Now, the silent generation was the generation that had to fight in World War II. It was tough for them. And because it was so tough for the silent generation, just as fire refines gold and pressure creates diamonds, they became great through their hardships. Zoomers might feel like they have it tough, and they do. And we could use these hardships to be better than the previous generations.